This is Coop with Proper Care, and today we're going to show you how to properly and easily and safely clean your engine bay. So if you see here, it is in pretty bad condition, but I would say this is pretty average dirty condition, to whereas it has been cleaned in, I want to say, years. The prop isn't even here, so we're using our wheel brush to keep it open. There is leaves and debris on the cowl hood area, and they're just a big layer of dust and dirt. Now, this isn't like an extreme engine bay cleaning. I want to say most people will have their engine bays in this type of condition where it has been cleaned in years. There's a lot of dirt and debris and dust on there, and not that it's heavily dirty, but it is caked on since it hasn't been cleaned in years. But although it looks dirty, it looks very dull, it's very easy to clean, and hopefully you learn a thing or two. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so first things first is our tools and products. Now for our pressure washer, we just have a cheap Karcher 1700. It's 150 bucks with the upgraded hose and gun. I'll have everything linked down below, so don't worry about trying to write all these names down. For brushes, we have an assortment of brushes, and we have more than what we need just because we do this as a business, and this is our wheel and tire setup as well. So what we use on the wheels and tires, we also use on the engine bay. So we have 3 or 4 brushes here, but you only need one. We're gonna use a larger one. This is from Work Stuff. We're gonna have our small easy detail brush, or use one similar to this one, and then our large wheel face brush. Now these are the primary 3 we're going to use as far as brushes and tools. For products, we're gonna be using an all-purpose cleaner diluted 4:1 in our IK Foam Pro 12 pump sprayer. If you don't have a pump sprayer, use a spray bottle. If you don't have a big one like this, use a smaller one, whatever kind of bottle you want. But we have just all-purpose cleaner diluted 4:1. Very simple and straightforward. And as far as safety, I'm a big fan of this, especially for engine cleanings, is to use eye goggles, because sometimes when you're agitating or rinsing down, some of it might splash into your eyes. Obviously you don't want that. And then gloves, because for obvious reasons, you want to protect your hands from all that nastiness. So that's literally it. First step is, 1, cover up any sensitive items, whatever that means for your vehicle. Do that, because if you have an older style vehicle, carburetors, I don't know, you've done some mods on your race car, you have to cover up what's sensitive to you as far as your engine bay. So here, typically for most vehicles that we work on, we're gonna cover up the engine bay and the intake. That's just about it. We've done hundreds of vehicles by now, and we've never had an issue. So we'll literally just get a plastic bag and cover the alternator. We'll literally just put a towel here on the intake so water doesn't get, it's not gonna be perfect, but look, a little water can, like little specks of water can get in, but that's gonna be good enough here. And that's really it. When we're cleaning the engine bay, it's using common sense, right? We're not gonna use a pressure washer right here at point blank distance to rinse everything down. We're not using that much water. So it's just like being very cautious, because you just need to be cautious when you're doing things. And then 2, using common sense. So we're using the water, the pressure washer, to just rinse the vehicle down of the dirt and product. We're not really gonna be there hammering down, getting it onto the cables and wires and rubber and harnesses and all this. Like, we're not doing that. It's a very simple, straightforward process. Okay, so first is just getting rid of the loose debris, usually on the cowl hood area. So here, you can just see it's a bunch of trees and stuff, or stuff from trees. Now you can either, if you want to get an air compressor or a blower, blow it out. You can get a vacuum it up, or if you do want to keep it old school, just literally get it with your hands. It might not be the best job, but at least you get the majority of it out. Again, you can do whatever, blow, suck, or just remove it with your hand. Here, they're very, very, very fragile. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna vacuum it out just to show you guys what it looks like. Okay, that's the easiest step to get out the way. So first we're gonna tackle the under hood, and then we're gonna go to the actual engine bay. So we're not gonna rinse or spray anything down here first. We first wanna tackle this whole section here. Now keep in mind that this is already deteriorating pretty heavily, so we don't really wanna spray water on it. And if we are gonna clean it, I will do that at the very end by just spraying the all-purpose cleaner and wiping it down. So we're not gonna get too intensive with this, because I don't wanna make it any worse than what it is. So first, we rinse it down. But as you can see, I was panning the wand away from the center so it doesn't actually get on the heat shield. Next, we have our pump sprayer pressurized, and I'm gonna again spray around the heat shield. All right, next you're gonna get your pressure washer, and what we do is not a necessity, but if you want, just rinse down the brushes so they're nice and lubricated. The rule of thumb is large brush for larger surface areas, smaller brush for the smaller detailed areas. So now it's literally just agitating everything off. Okay, so that was using the large brush for the larger surface areas. Now I'll go back and use a smaller brush to touch up the smaller areas. I'm doing this for video, but realistically at the same time as I'm doing this, I'll go back with the smaller brush, but catching it for camera, I'm doing it kind of in 2 phases. So okay, so now the top part is done, or the lower part is done. I'm gonna rinse it down. We might still have quite a few missed areas. That's fine. I'll touch that up later with a towel. But for now, we're gonna rinse it down and continue moving forward. Okay, so now that's done. Let's move over to the actual engine bay. Same thing, we're gonna rinse it down. I'm not gonna stay at one place for too long. I'm not gonna get super close to anything. I'm just rinsing off the dirt in a very safe manner. So here we go, off the vehicle and then onto the engine bay. And just to show you a quick example is that we dried it off a little bit here, and you can tell that a lot of the dust and dirt already got off the engine bay just by rinsing it down, meaning the dirt and debris was so loose on the surfaces that it doesn't really require heavy agitation. Granted, you still want to at least wipe it down, but we're still going to give it a full scrubbing. But as you can tell, like, it's already looking much better just from rinsing it down, because it was just very loose contaminants on the surfaces. So it's a very easy engine bay cleaning, and I want to say most people will run into a situation with it. So don't overcomplicate the process, because just rinsing it down helped out a lot. Okay, so next I'm going to spray everything down, and then using the same 3 brushes, we're going to agitate everything. If you want, you can spray your brushes just to give it a bit more lubrication. We usually do, just because that's what we usually do. Again, large brushes, large surface areas, smaller brushes, smaller detailed areas. Now, when you are doing engine cleanings though, remember that you are gonna miss spots. It's not gonna come out perfect. So another point in your quality control is checking it afterwards and going back with a brush or a towel and making sure you got all the areas that you wanna get. Like, it's not gonna come out perfect. Not all these brushes are gonna fit perfectly like where you want them to. Okay, so now we've done a majority of the cleaning. I'm gonna rinse everything off, following the same rules as before. Okay, so we're almost to home base now. Next is to dry the engine bay, inspect, and then do any touch-ups. For the drying process, either one, just open up the hood. If you're outside, it's gonna dry up instantly. If you have towels, just pat it down. If you have air compressor, if you have a blower, use that to blow it down. Here we have a motorcycle blower. I'm gonna turn it on and blow out the water out of the crevices, and then also just dry off the standing water. Whichever method you choose, just get the engine bay dry. And I'm actually gonna introduce Alex now. He's usually behind the camera, but he wants to be in the YouTube video. So I'll give him a chance and I'll let him take over the next few spots.
All right, so this is the touch-up phase. As we have here, a nice rinse down engine. But from this angle, you can see a couple of spots that kind of dried up during the rinsing or agitation. So we're gonna grab APC, any towel, multi-purpose towel. And this is 4:1, diluted 4:1. You can use whatever concentration that you want. So we're just gonna start here with the battery. You can spray directly, but it's not that dirty, so I'm just gonna spray onto the towel, as we do here. And a good ample amount on the towel. I'm a righty, so I'm gonna just do nice little touch-ups. From up top, it looks good, but if you come here and check it out from close, it's kind of dirty. All right, so now that we're done with the good old touch-ups, we're gonna remove all the protective stuff from the alternator, the plastic bag, the towel, and that was pretty much it. So next we're gonna move on to my favorite phase, which is dressing. We're literally just gonna douse it. More of a jet stream here. Yeah, that's more like it. And don't worry about getting overspray, because we're just gonna touch that up later. Now with this phase, I still like to be careful with any components like the alternator. I just quickly cover up anything. You can be pretty liberal with this. And I'll say that's good enough, because after this, we're gonna go ahead and grab our blower or anything that you use to just get into the cracks. And we're gonna blow all the products so it can get into the letterings, the grooves of these hoses, tubings, and all of that. All right, so the next step, we're almost done here, is we're gonna grab another towel and we're gonna wipe off any of the excess that was left behind. And even at 3:1, it's still gonna give it a nice satin finish.
And we are now finito with the engine bay. It is clean, it is dried, it is dressed. Now, I wanna say for most people, 9 out of 10 people, 9.5 out of 10 people, this is gonna be a big dramatic difference, especially from how we started. Again, it wasn't in the worst condition. It was bad. It wasn't cleaned in years, but it was just dirt and debris. There wasn't a big oil spill or grease everywhere. It was just dirt and debris, and it cleaned up very, very, very nicely. Now, again, it's all based on your level of attention and how much time you want to put into it. To film this video, it took us about 2 hours, but to actually clean an engine bay, it takes about 30-40 minutes, depending if you get the groove of things and how particular you want to get and the size of it and such. But it's like you can really spend as much time as you want on here. I'd say for most people, just by looking at it, it's gonna be a pretty satisfying before and after. And again, if you want to spend more time on it, just spend more time on it, right? It's up to you. It's your vehicle. You can spend as much time or as little time or as much energy or as little energy as you want. So I'll end it right here. I'll have links to the tools and products. I did miss a few when I first introduced the tools and products in the beginning of the video. I have everything linked, mostly everything linked in the description box down below. Let me know what you think of the video, what else you want to see on this channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.